There's quite a few reasons why I am stealth, and it boils down to it's what I'm most comfortable with. When I first came out as trans and started learning about what it means and what it would mean for me in my future, I very quickly got the idea that being out and talking about your trans status and transition, and I'd go as far as saying even being proud of it, was something that was normalized. And that's not to imply that I disagree with that position at all. I'm just saying how it is. There's no connotation, no secret meaning behind what I'm saying. And so I guess I got this idea that that's what was expected of me. There wasn't really any representation of stealth trans people, which I guess sounds like something that isn't really possible, but I mean, here I am. You don't know who I am, you're just hearing my voice and seeing where I am, and you probably have no idea where this is. I hope so anyway. And so I engage with people on the internet who were trans and navigating their own transition. And I guess for a while there, it never really came into my mind that this is something that I could do for myself. I just saw people online on blogging websites and on YouTube who were talking about this. And so I guess life went on like that for a while, and so I came out publicly. I told people in my life that I was trans and I was going to transition medically. But as soon as I came out, I said to people, this is not a topic that I will be okay with you gossiping about. I don't want this to go past you. I mean, if it was like a family friend, I'd say, hey, you can tell your siblings and your parents because they know me, but, you know, I don't want this public. And that was just, I guess, a respect thing. I just felt that even though I didn't even really know what stealth was at that stage, it just seemed like a natural thing. I've been like that with other medical things I've dealt with in my life. I haven't really publicized plenty of things I've experienced, so I just thought, why should this be something spoken about? And frankly, at the time, I'd gone through bullying and trauma when I was a child to do with my gender, and I felt embarrassed. I felt like it's something people would target me for, and I just didn't want that. So a bit of time went on, and I can't remember when, but I learnt that being stealth is an option. And luckily, I guess from there I could kind of flow into being stealth quite naturally. I was in the position where I was working away from home and I was medically transitioning. I was barely seen in my hometown. I had cut off a lot of people from my past. I'd blocked them on my Facebook. I was very quiet when I was younger, so I think people just forgot about me or assumed I dropped off the face of the earth, which really works for me quite well. I'm happy if people have no memory of who I was in the past. So yeah, I mean, I just thought this is what I'm comfortable with. This is what feels right. When I was a child, I would fantasize about what it would be like to be a guy. In my head, I'd have these sort of, I'd imagine scenarios where maybe I was at school and, like, people would see me as a guy and I'd be socialized as a guy and I would have been born a guy. Oh, that's windy. Let's go back. Yeah, so, I mean, it's just something that's how I've seen myself my whole life. Even before I had the words for it, before I could kind of go, I'm trans and this is what this means, I just knew that I wanted to be seen and treated as male. Other than that, though, safety is a concern. As you can probably tell from my accent, I live in Australia, and so I'm very lucky that in the location I live, there's not really much violence physically against trans people. There's definitely discrimination and bullying, but I am at that age now. I'm an adult. I don't go to school. I mean, obviously I'm stealth in my everyday life. It's not something that I have to deal with, that side of things. I'm not going to get bullied. But yeah, it is a concern to me that if I was living as someone who was out, you never know what people are like. Not to try and instill fear in anyone listening to this, but I need to keep my wits about myself in order to feel comfortable. And a way I'm going to do that is to not disclose my status to people, and to let people around me who do know my background, who did know me when I was younger, to understand that they can't just tell people. They can't introduce me to someone and then be like, oh, this is his history. I'm trying to think of... I never write scripts for this. It's always just off the top of my head. And I feel like there are other reasons there, but privacy and safety are up there. Oh, there we go. There's another reason. So another huge one is when I came out as trans to people around me, I got a lot of really dumb questions. And I understand people are going to have questions who have known me for like my entire life. But there were just some questions I got. The way some people spoke to me was just absurd. People who I expected a lot better from, people I'd been talking to for years, some online, some in real life, and I kind of just thought, this isn't how I want things to be. That was just the very start of my social transition. I hadn't even begun therapy to seek out testosterone, I'm pretty sure. I hadn't even reach the appropriate steps to start looking at surgery or anything like that, and I already had people being really gross with their questions and frankly quite offensive. There's awesome, I accidentally clicked stop recording. There's ways to be, I guess, appropriate in your questioning, or at least careful in your questioning, or just not to ask questions, or Google things that are general bits of information. And so I just thought, I can't do this. I don't have the patience for it. I was very tolerant for a good year or so there. I tried to be really patient with people. But after a while, you get really fucking sick of it. I think even the most out and proud guys out there who answer all of these different questions from people, I think even if they're being honest with themselves, I think even they'd be sick of it at times. So yeah, I think I'm going to end it here. I hope you enjoyed this beautiful view. I hope this taught you something, or if you're trans, maybe inspired you to consider another point of view from your own, maybe something to think about in your own life. Thank you for watching.